If you're thinking of rally sport, you probably straight away think of a gold and blue Subaru. After all, the WRX model stands for World Rally Experimental. But there's one car that started the trend for a four-door, four-cylinder, all-wheel drive racing machine long before. And it's always been the Mitsubishi Lancer Evolution. Today, I've brought you a 2004 Japanese spec Mitsubishi EVO 8 MR. So let's take a look. So let's just quickly go over the difference between a US versioned EVO and a Japanese spec EVO. In the US, the EVO 8 was the very first EVO to be released in America. As a result of this though, the EVO had to be redesigned slightly in America to meet US standards. They added a few hundred pounds into the car for crash safety ratings. They had to retune the engine to meet emission standards. And unfortunately, they had to get rid of Mitsubishi's famous yaw control, as a result needing to fit all these extra pieces into the car. Starting with what's under the hood in the EVO 8 MR. We have a 2-liter 4-cylinder turbo engine pushing out 280 horsepower, 0 to 60 times in 5.1 seconds. The EVO 8 MR is driven through a 6-speed manual gearbox, and all EVO 8 MRs were manual. Nice work, Mitsubishi. So just before we continue with the review, guys, just to let you know what modifications have been done to this car. We have an aftermarket intercooler with upgraded piping, hot and cold side. We have an upgraded fuel pump, full 3-inch turbo back exhaust system with a high flow cat. The owner has had the engine retuned and is currently making about 380 brake horsepower. So just hopping in the back of the EVO 8 MR. As you can see, it's a 4-door saloon, so the space back here is reasonable. This is in a normal seating position. I've got a decent amount of leg room here. Headroom's actually fairly good too. I've got at least a couple inches up there. Seats wise, yeah, you know, you could squeeze 3 people back here. 2 people definitely comfortable. All in all, not too bad back here. Pretty practical. Just going over a few exterior features of the EVO 8 MR. Obviously, straight in your face, we have this massive scoop up at the front here. It's a bit different to the Subaru one, where the Subaru you sort of have this giant scoop on the front, where this one they've sort of done it as it's basically a hole in the bonnet hood here, and then they've just sort of put like some metal grating over it. It's kind of a cool look. It's definitely different. Not many cars you see like this. You have this diffuser that's on the roof, which is a very cool look. Definitely one for Mitsubishi again. And again, at the very back of the EVO, we have this insanely big wing. I mean, this has got to be one of the biggest wings on any car, especially from that time period when this was produced. It's absolutely enormous, very cool looking, and just provides downforce for when these guys go really quick. And again, at the back we have Evolution MR, and MR obviously stands for Mitsubishi Racing. Just coming down to the wheel here, we have these massive, nice Brembo brakes up here at the front. All right, so driving the 2004 Mitsubishi EVO 8 MR. Now, straight away off the bat, just something that that kind of surprises me about this car is it feels much bigger in here than I really thought it would. Like, sitting down in these seats, like next to the wheel, I really feel like a little kid or something. Like this, it just seems like everything's high up and like huge windows around me. Really nice view and everything, but yeah, it really makes this car seem a lot larger than you might anticipate it to be. So let's just do a little pull through here. 3, 2, 1. Building. Boost. Woo! And you get some nice crackles and pops there. Holy. Okay. Man, that was insane. That was nuts. All right, third gear pulls f***ing hard in this car. Holy shit, man. You've definitely got to wait for that turbo to punch in. But man, once you're on boost 3.5, this thing just pulls and pulls and pulls. This thing made me tense up a bit. And just the sound of this thing crackling and pop when you give it, oh, what a joy. Holy rip. And this yaw control, man, you can just send it through these corners and it just grips and grips and grips. Wow. No fear at all in the corners here. Just foot down, no fear at all. This thing feels so planted. You don't even think it's going to break traction, and it's kind of mind-boggling when you get this thing up into some high-speed corners. Like, yeah, wow. The fastest turboed car I'd driven previously in this segment of mine, Ross Reviews, has got to be the F6. And when that car was pretty dismal, like, until you hit the turbo. But once you hit the turbo in that F6, wow, like, that was kind of like warp speed. And the turbo seemed to go for a long time. I gotta say, this I really want to have a race with this and the F6, because as this car is modified, the F6 I drove wasn't, but this is on F6 level. Like, this is very close to the FPV F6. I think the F6 pulls a little bit longer, but these are very close, like very close. See how she goes. So another big thing just to note is that the steering is like, when you're going fast, the steering is pretty nice. You got to turn the wheel a little bit more than I'm probably used to, but I think if I'm on a fast racetrack, this would be good steering. But the turning radius in this car is atrocious. So like, yeah, if you want to do a 3-point turn or like do a U-turn somewhere, yeah, be prepared to be shocked on how bad the circle is in this car. Gearbox is phenomenal. The clutch is actually pretty good. Suspension wise in this car, though, I should mention as well, the suspension is fairly stiff, but you know, you expect that in a car like this. You know, it's a race car for the road. So that's the 2004 Japanese spec Mitsubishi EVO 8 MR. An unbelievable car, and really one of the true greats of rallying. This car really surprised me of the power output it did, and just the way the turbo kicks in on this car is jaw-dropping, to say the least. Active yaw control again, so impressive, so flat around the corners, and just, you have so much traction in this car. It's really unbelievable. It's really amazing how this tiny little 2-liter engine puts out so much performance. Mitsubishi has done an incredible job with this car, and I really wish this was still in production today. It's really unfortunate that these have died. Love the car, Love the transmission. Love the way the power is delivered. Heaps of power in this car. 4-wheel drive. The ride is just so planted. So much grip. And it's just a pure, built for the road race car. And you gotta love that.